Sun Tzu's ancient life lessons men learn too late in life. What if I told you that a Chinese general who lived 2,500 years ago had already figured out the exact reasons why most men today feel stuck, unfulfilled, and constantly battling uphill in life? Sun Tzu wrote The Art of War not just as a military manual, but as a blueprint for navigating life's most challenging battles. And here's the brutal truth. Most men don't discover these principles until it's almost too late. I'm talking about men in their 40s, 50s, even 60s, suddenly realizing they've been fighting the wrong battles their entire lives. Today, we're diving deep into 12 ancient lessons that could have changed everything if they'd learned them earlier. But here's the good news. It's never actually too late to start winning. So grab a notebook, because this video might just be the turning point you've been waiting for. Before we jump in, let me ask you something. How many of you watching this right now feel like you're constantly swimming upstream? Like no matter how hard you work, how much effort you put in, success seems to keep slipping through your fingers? If you're nodding along, you're not alone. The comment section on my last video was flooded with men sharing stories of working 60-hour weeks for decades, only to find themselves financially stressed, relationship problems, health issues, and wondering where all that effort actually went. Meet Sun Tzu, a military strategist from ancient China who understood something profound. Most battles are won or lost before they even begin, and that principle applies to every area of your life. Today we're going to explore 12 life-changing lessons from the art of war that successful men wish they'd learned in their 20s instead of their 50s. And I guarantee you, by the end of this video, you'll see your challenges completely differently. Before we dive in, if you find value in this content, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're building a community of men committed to winning at life, and I don't want you to miss any of these game-changing insights. Lesson 1, know yourself before battling others. Sun Tzu said, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." But here's where most men get it backwards. They spend their entire lives trying to defeat external enemies while being complete strangers to themselves. Let me tell you about Marcus. Successful lawyer, six-figure income, respected in his community. But at 45, he had a breakdown. Why? Because he'd spent 20 years climbing someone else's ladder. He never asked himself, what do I actually want? What are my real strengths? What energizes me versus what drains me? This is the first battle most men lose. They let society, their parents, their peer group define success for them. They become experts at reading the room, pleasing others, meeting expectations, but they never become experts on themselves. Here's the brutal truth. If you don't know what you're fighting for, you'll end up fighting for nothing. And that's exactly why so many men feel empty despite their achievements. So here's your first assignment. Tonight, before you go to bed, ask yourself 3 questions. What activities make me lose track of time? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? And what legacy do I actually want to leave? Write down your answers. Don't think too hard, just write. Because knowing yourself isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong practice that successful men start early. Lesson 2, choose your battles wisely. Sun Tzu taught, the supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. Translation, the smartest men don't fight every battle. They choose their battles strategically. I see this mistake everywhere. Men getting pulled into every argument, every office drama, every social media debate. They're burning energy on battles that don't move them forward. Here's a story that'll hit home. David, a sales manager, spent 2 years fighting with his toxic boss. 2 years fighting for respect, recognition, fair treatment. You know what happened? His boss got promoted, David's reputation suffered, and his career stagnated. But here's the plot twist. David's colleague Michael faced the same toxic boss. But instead of fighting, Michael documented everything, built relationships with other departments, and when a position opened up elsewhere in the company, he had allies ready to recommend him. Same situation, different strategy. David fought the battle. Michael won the war. This is huge, guys. Every time you engage in a pointless argument, every time you get sucked into drama that doesn't serve your goals, you're spending finite energy on infinite problems. Here's the framework successful men use. Before engaging in any conflict, ask yourself 3 questions. Will this move me toward my goals? Can I win this battle? And what's the real cost of fighting? If the answer to any of these is no, walk away. Redirect that energy toward battles you can win, battles that matter, battles that build the life you actually want. Lesson 3, timing is everything. Sun Tzu said, "He who is first in the field and awaits the coming of the enemy will be fresh for the fight." This isn't just about military strategy. It's about understanding that timing can make or break every decision in your life. Most men either move too fast or too slow. They jump into relationships without vetting. They start businesses without proper planning. Or they wait so long for the perfect moment that opportunities disappear. Let me share a story about timing that changed my perspective completely. 2 friends, both software developers, both had the same idea for an app in 2010. Jake immediately quit his job and started building. Tom spent 6 months researching, planning, and preparing. Jake's app failed within 3 months. No market research, no funding, no strategy. Tom launched his app right as the market was ready, had saved enough money to survive the initial phase, and sold his company for 8 figures 3 years later. Same idea, different timing approach. But here's the deeper lesson. It's not just about when you act, it's about how you prepare for action. Successful men understand that real confidence comes from preparation. When opportunity knocks, they're ready. When challenges arise, they've already war-gamed the solutions. Think about your biggest regrets. I bet most of them fall into 2 categories. Things you did too quickly without thinking, or opportunities you missed because you waited too long. Here's the timing framework that works. For big decisions, give yourself a deadline. Research, prepare, and plan until that deadline, then act. For daily opportunities, trust your preparation and move quickly. The goal isn't perfect timing, it's strategic timing. And that's a skill you can develop. Engagement break. All right, let's pause for a second. I'm curious. Which of these first 3 lessons hits closest to home for you? Drop a comment below and let me know. Is it knowing yourself, choosing your battles, or timing your moves? And if you're getting value from this, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm show this content to other men who need to hear these lessons. Now, the next lesson we're about to cover is probably the most controversial, but it might also be the most important. Let's dive in. Lesson 4, Deception and Strategic Truth. Sun Tzu said, all warfare is based on deception. Now, before you click away thinking I'm about to teach you to lie and manipulate, hear me out. This lesson is actually about protecting your energy and strategic communication. In a perfect world, we could be completely transparent with everyone about everything, but we don't live in a perfect world. Some people will use your openness against you. Some situations require you to keep your cards close to your chest. Here's what I mean. When you're planning to leave your job, you don't announce it 6 months early. When you're working on a business idea, you don't share every detail with potential competitors. When you're dealing with toxic people, you don't give them ammunition to hurt you. This isn't about being dishonest. It's about being strategically smart about who gets access to what information about your life. I learned this lesson the hard way. Early in my career, I was completely open about my struggles, my plans, my insecurities. I thought it made me authentic. Instead, it made me a target. Certain colleagues used my openness to undermine me in meetings. Now I'm still authentic, but I'm selective. I share my vulnerabilities with people who've earned that trust. I discuss my strategies with people who want to see me succeed. This lesson is especially crucial for men because we're often taught that being strategic about communication is somehow weak or manipulative. But there's a difference between malicious deception and strategic discretion. Here's the framework. Be honest, but not necessarily complete. Share your values openly, but protect your methods until you're ready to execute. Trust people with small things first before trusting them with big things. Your dreams deserve protection until they're strong enough to survive criticism. Lesson 5, The Power of Positioning. Sun Tzu taught, "All men can see the tactics whereby I conquer, but what none can see is the strategy out of which victory is evolved." This is about positioning, putting yourself in situations where success becomes inevitable. Most men try to force success through pure effort. They work harder, put in more hours, push through obstacles. But smart men position themselves where opportunities naturally flow. Let me tell you about two salespeople at the same company. Both worked incredibly hard, but John focused on cold calling random prospects. Meanwhile, Sarah positioned herself at industry conferences, built relationships with referral partners, and created content that attracted ideal clients. Same industry, same company, same product. But Sarah's positioning meant she was getting warm leads, while John was fighting for every cold call. Positioning isn't just about career. It applies to relationships, health, finances, everything. Instead of fighting uphill battles, successful men create situations where success flows naturally. Think about your biggest challenges right now. Are you trying to force solutions? Or could you reposition yourself where those problems become easier to solve? Want better relationships? Instead of trying to change difficult people, position yourself around positive, growth-minded individuals. Want better health? Instead of fighting willpower battles, position yourself where healthy choices are the easy choices. Want financial success? Instead of just working harder at your current job, position yourself in industries, roles, or businesses where your skills are highly valued. Here's the positioning audit. Look at your environment, your social circle, your daily routines. Are they making your goals easier or harder to achieve? Then make strategic changes to position yourself for natural success. Lesson 6. Understanding your opposition. Sun Tzu said, "If you know your enemies and know yourself, you will not be imperiled in 100 battles." But here's what most men miss. Your biggest enemy isn't external. It's internal. The opposition you face every day isn't your boss, your competition, or even difficult circumstances. It's your own limiting beliefs, destructive habits, and self-sabotaging patterns. I spent years thinking my problem was external. Difficult clients, market conditions, lack of opportunities. But when I really examined my patterns, I realized I was my own worst enemy. I would start projects and not finish them. I would avoid difficult conversations that needed to happen. I would sabotage good opportunities because part of me didn't believe I deserved them. This is the battle most men never acknowledge they're fighting. They're so focused on external challenges that they never address the internal ones holding them back. Here's a tough question. What patterns keep showing up in your life? The same relationship problems with different people? The same career obstacles in different jobs? The same financial stress despite making more money? Those patterns aren't coincidence. They're your internal opposition manifesting in external circumstances. Here's how to map your internal opposition. First, identify your recurring problems. Second, ask what role you play in creating or maintaining these problems. Third, identify the beliefs or habits driving those behaviors. If you keep attracting toxic relationships, maybe you need to examine your boundaries. If you keep starting businesses that fail, maybe you need to examine your relationship with planning and persistence. The good news? Once you understand your internal opposition, you can develop strategies to overcome it. And that changes everything. Lesson 7. The Art of Strategic Retreat. Sun Tzu taught, "There are roads which must not be followed, armies which must not be attacked, cities which must not be besieged. Sometimes the smartest move is knowing when to walk away." This might be the hardest lesson for men to learn, because we're taught that quitting is weakness. But strategic retreat isn't quitting. It's redirecting your energy toward winnable battles. I see men destroying themselves trying to save relationships that ended years ago. I see them pouring money into failing businesses because they're afraid of giving up. I see them staying in jobs that crush their souls because leaving feels like failure. My friend Robert spent 5 years trying to make his restaurant work. 5 years of 80-hour weeks, mounting debt, deteriorating health, and a marriage hanging by a thread. Everyone could see it wasn't working except Robert. Finally, his wife gave him an ultimatum: close the restaurant or lose his family. He closed it, took a job as a corporate chef, and within 2 years had paid off his debts and saved his marriage. Same skills, different battlefield. Sometimes retreat isn't about giving up. It's about choosing the right place to make your stand. Here's what successful men understand. Your time, energy, and resources are finite. Every minute you spend on something that isn't working is a minute. You can't spend on something that could work. Use the strategic retreat assessment. Is this situation improving with my current approach? Do I have the resources to sustain this effort? Is this the best use of my limited time and energy? If the answer to any of these is no, it might be time for a strategic retreat. And sometimes that retreat becomes the foundation for your greatest victory. Lesson 8, the importance of alliances. Sun Tzu said, "The skillful strategist defeats the enemy without any fighting." Often, this means building alliances instead of fighting battles alone. Here's where a lot of men go wrong. They try to be completely self-reliant. They think asking for help is weakness. They build walls instead of bridges. But every successful man I know has a network of allies, mentors who guide them, peers who challenge them, partners who complement their weaknesses, people who open doors they couldn't open alone. Take my business partner, Alex. When I met him, I was struggling to scale my company. I was good at creating content, but terrible at systems and operations. Instead of trying to learn everything myself, I brought Alex in as a partner. His operational skills combined with my creative skills allowed us to build something neither of us could have built alone. That's the power of strategic alliances. But here's the key. Successful alliances aren't about using people. They're about creating mutual value. Each person brings something valuable to the relationship. Look at your biggest challenges right now. Chances are, someone in your network has either solved that problem or knows someone who has. But you'll never access that knowledge if you're trying to do everything alone. Here's how to build strategic alliances. First, identify what value you can offer others. Second, identify what skills or connections you need. Third, look for people where there's mutual benefit. Remember, asking for help isn't weakness, it's intelligence. And helping others isn't charity, it's investment in your network. This week, reach out to 3 people in your network. Don't ask for anything, just offer value. Share a useful article, make an introduction, offer your expertise. Start building alliances before you need them. Engagement break 2. We're about halfway through these life-changing lessons, and I want to check in with you. Which lesson so far has challenged your thinking the most? Drop a comment and let me know. And if someone you know could benefit from these insights, share this video with them. Sometimes the best gift you can give someone is a new perspective on an old problem. Now, the next lesson we're covering is something that can literally save years of your life if you implement it correctly. Let's dive in. Lesson 9, Speed and Decisiveness. Sun Tzu taught, rapidity is the essence of war. In life, while others are still deciding, successful men are already moving. Here's the paradox. Most men either make decisions too quickly based on emotion, or they overthink everything and miss opportunities. The key is making fast decisions based on good preparation. I learned this lesson from a mentor who built a multi-million-dollar business. He told me, I don't make faster decisions than my competitors. I just get to decision points faster because I'm always gathering information. This is huge. While average men are still trying to figure out what's happening, successful men have already identified the key decision points and prepared their responses. During the 2008 financial crisis, while most people were panicking, certain investors were buying real estate at massive discounts. Same information available to everyone, but they were prepared to act quickly when opportunity appeared. Speed isn't about being reckless. It's about being prepared to move when the moment is right. Think about the opportunities you've missed in your life. How many were lost not because you made the wrong decision, but because you took too long to make any decision? Here's the rapid decision framework. First, identify the real deadline for this decision. Second, gather the minimum viable information needed. Third, make the call and adjust as you go. Remember, in most situations, a good decision made quickly is better than a perfect decision made too late. Practice this with small decisions first. What to have for lunch, which route to take home, what to watch on Netflix. Build your decision-making muscle on low-stakes choices, so you're ready when high-stakes opportunities arise. Lesson 10, Resource Management. Sun Tzu said, "The clever combatant looks to the effect of combined energy." This is about maximizing your limited resources for maximum impact. Most men scatter their resources. They try to do everything at once, pursue multiple goals simultaneously, and wonder why nothing really moves forward. But successful men understand resource concentration. They identify their highest leverage activities and pour their best resources into those areas. Early in my career, I was trying to build a business, maintain a social life, learn new skills, stay in perfect shape, and keep everyone happy. I was mediocre at everything and excellent at nothing. Then I learned to sequence my focus. 6 months concentrated on business growth. Then 3 months focused on health. Then time dedicated to relationships. Instead of dividing my attention, I concentrated it. This applies to all your resources: time, energy, money, attention. The magic happens when you concentrate these resources on your highest priority objectives. Here's the resource management framework. First, identify your top 3 life priorities right now. Second, audit where your time, energy, and money actually go. Third, realign your resource allocation with your priorities. Most men spend their best energy on their least important activities. They're sharp and focused at work, but exhausted and distracted at home. They invest carefully in their retirement, but carelessly with their daily time. Strategic resource management means giving your best resources to your most important goals. This week, track your time for 3 days. Just track it, don't judge it. Then ask yourself, is this how someone with my goals should be spending their resources? If not, make adjustments. Lesson 11. Adaptability in changing circumstances. Sun Tzu taught, water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground. The ability to adapt while maintaining your core objectives is what separates survivors from thrivers. The men who struggle most are those who refuse to adapt. They keep using strategies that worked in the past, even when circumstances have completely changed. I see this everywhere. Men trying to build careers, using networking strategies from the 1990s. Men trying to attract partners using dating approaches that stopped working decades ago. Men trying to build wealth using financial strategies that don't work in today's economy. My friend Tom was a successful print advertising executive for 15 years. When digital started taking over, he could have either adapted or resisted. He chose to adapt, learned digital marketing, and now runs a thriving agency. His colleague Jim resisted the change, complained about how things used to be, and eventually lost his job. Same skills, same experience, different adaptability. Here's the key. Successful men adapt their methods while keeping their objectives clear. They're flexible in how they achieve their goals, but inflexible about having goals worth achieving. What areas of your life are you resisting necessary change? Where are you trying to use outdated strategies in a changed world? Use the adaptability assessment. What's changed in your industry, relationships, or environment in the last 5 years? What strategies are you using that might need updating? What new approaches could you test? Remember, adaptability isn't about abandoning your principles. It's about finding new ways to express them effectively. Lesson 12. Victory without destruction. Sun Tzu's ultimate teaching. The supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. True mastery is achieving your objectives while creating the least collateral damage. This is where boys and men differ. Boys win by destroying their opposition. Men win by creating situations where everyone can succeed. The most successful men I know aren't those who crushed their competition. They're those who found ways to succeed while lifting others up. When Jeff Bezos was building Amazon, he could have just focused on beating bookstores. Instead, he created a platform where other sellers could succeed too. He won by expanding the entire market, not just taking market share. This principle applies to every area of life. In relationships, you don't win by making your partner lose. In business, sustainable success comes from creating value, not just capturing it. In parenting, you don't win by breaking your children's spirit. Victory without destruction means achieving your goals in ways that preserve relationships, build trust, and create long-term sustainability. Think about your current challenges. Are you approaching them with a win-lose mindset or a win-win mindset? Are you trying to defeat opposition or convert it? Here's the victory without destruction framework. Before engaging any conflict, ask, how can I achieve my objective? While preserving what's valuable in this situation, how can I solve this problem in a way that strengthens rather than weakens my relationships? The ultimate measure of a man isn't how many battles he's won, but how much value he's created for others while achieving his own success. Conclusion and call to action. So there you have it. 12 ancient lessons that modern men learn too late, if they learn them at all. But here's the thing. Knowing these principles isn't enough. The men who transform their lives are those who actually implement them. I want you to pick one lesson from today's video. Just one. And commit to applying it this week. Don't try to change everything at once. Master one principle, then move to the next. Which lesson hit you the hardest? Which one are you going to implement first? Drop a comment below and let me know. I read every comment and your insights help other men in this community. If this video provided value for you, here's how you can help. First, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. We're building a community of men committed to winning at life, and I want you to be part of it. Second, give this video a thumbs up if it helped you see your challenges differently. It helps the algorithm show this content to other men who need these lessons. Third, share this video with one man in your life who could benefit from these insights. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is give someone a new perspective on an old problem.